Hi, Chris McClune here for FDIC International 2024. I'm here today at the Viking Life-Saving Equipment booth. I'm with Grant, Camille, Kendall, and Alexa, and we're going to be talking today about a new brand of turnout gear by Viking Life-Saving Equipment. Grant, before we get started talking about the gear, when there's a lot to discuss about this gear, talk to us a little bit about Viking Life-Saving Equipment.
Yeah, Chris, thanks again for coming. So Viking Life-Saving Equipment has been in the PPE industry for over 60 years. We're a global company based out of Denmark, but we have a global presence on all continents in the world. Specifically in the US and the fire market, we're an innovator in technology and advancement, and this Valkyrie line just goes to extend that information.
Talk about the line a little bit. This was a line of gear that was designed from the ground up for female firefighters. What goes into that?
Correct. Yeah. So normally speaking, I mean, we had a female firefighter cut before in the Warrior, but if you take a look at it, it's just based off the all-gender model, like we would call it, traditional gear. And then you have extra pleats or darts or take-ups, and to be honest, I mean, most gear came that way for a long time. We saw the need in the industry, not only here but across the globe, and we're getting requests for information on how we could make it better. We all know that there's a physiological difference between male and female, okay? And it's not just in the physical features, it's also in the fit, right? So we move differently, and that has become apparent when we went out and we talked to firefighters from across the country about this information and what we could do, and then from a piece of paper up, handed it to the design engineers and asked them to meet the standard based on those requirements.
Well, great, let's get a little bit more in depth into the design of the gear.
Absolutely. As we talked, there's a perceived physiological change between the male and female form, okay? So we have many sizes already for all gender that we take into consideration, and each of those has some different characteristics for take-ups, etc. Well, the big difference is, girls, do you mind zipping your jackets up for me? The big difference is if we turn them around and we look, the back is really easy to see that there's actually a contoured change in the designs of the garments. So if you can see that the panels are considerably different, but even though there is this difference that allows them to move better because they have more movement in the front area, okay, as well as the hip areas, it allows them to move better. There's actually still micro adjustments inside these coats. So those different sizes that Kendall mentioned earlier, that allows that to be micro adjusted inside not only the coat but the pants as well.
Now, Camille, this was your project here. How did you approach from the beginning after you had that piece of paper? How did you approach getting it to this point?
Actually, I was on a tour with Grant, I think last year, where we met with a lot of female firefighters, took a lot of measurements, took some photos, discussed the current gear that they already have and wear, just to see where can we actually do better.
What were some of the common threads that you found after you interviewed the firefighters? What were some of the common things among all of them that you incorporated into the gear?
Actually, I think it was with you. I tried on some of your gear, and they are definitely not made for women, especially in the bust and hip area. Yeah. They need more ease in the front, where men usually need it more in the back, and also to make it simple for them when crawling, they need more fabric in the waist area. So that was where we started.
Now, Kendall and Alexa, now we're going to talk a little bit about the gear itself. You guys, you're the ones wearing it. Alexa, you're kind of like me. You're on the taller side. I know for me, I usually end up having to ask for a longer coat, and they usually end up having to make my sleeves a little longer after it gets in. So we've got just as many problems, on our end as well. But talk to me about the gear you're wearing and the parts of it that you are most impressed with.
The hips. It fits my hips. I don't have to jump to get into it, where my other coworkers are already in their gear ready to go on the truck, and I'm still, it just fits. It fits the waist, it fits the breast, the shoulders, and then when you zip this up, you don't have to pull it up here to zip it and then pull it back down. It's just smooth. It's one whole, I love it. I get so excited when I put it on.
I have a female firefighter in my fire company, and the poor woman has been wearing the smallest set of gear we could find, and she's a smaller stature, so I think she's a little shorter than you. But I was teasing her when we just recently got size for everything. I was teasing her and saying, "Did you come down to get size so now the stuff you're wearing will fit?" Kendall, talk to me about the fit of this and how, you know, some different things than Alexa was talking about, but just talk about the fit. Talk about how this is different from the other gear that
So kind of like you were saying, your girl in your department has to go to an extremely small size. I need to go to a small size, but I'm still broad-shouldered. I still have a bust. You know, my rear is a lot bigger than a lot of the guys, so I go smaller gear, and it's way too tight in the areas that I don't need it to be tight in. So I'm forced to go to a bigger size, and like she was saying, you know, in the truck, you're trying to get dressed quick, and we have to tie things onto our zippers in order to reach them. We've got so much bunched up fabric here that, you know, it's just, our gear is heavy and uncomfortable for everybody, but to have so much extra fabric in places that makes mobility extremely tough for us, you know, being smaller statured, we need as much help as we can get movement-wise, and having all the extra fabric everywhere is brutal for us.
So it's still, you know, not to make any mistake, it is still important for the gear to be sized to you, but in this case, it's this particular gear that has been designed for you that you're being sized for. So it's not, you know, just, you know, okay, it's not like not one size fits all, but it's not like a general, you know, small, large.
Well, and kind of like Alexa said earlier, you know, women are probably 50 times more different sizes than what men are. Men are a lot more kind of average stature, where women, you know, we've got different bust sizes, we have different hip sizes, so we've got a lot more things that need to be fitted for us, and this gear is awesome for us.
Perfect. Well, thank all of you for, I think this may be in a booth video the most people I've ever interviewed at once, but thank you very much for taking some time out for me. Grant, if people who are not at FDIC want to learn more about this gear or Viking life-saving equipment in general, how can they contact you?
Absolutely, I appreciate that. So they can go to our website, www.viking-fireusa.com, or they can email me directly at ggr@viking-life.com.
All right, perfect. Well, again, this has been Chris McClune at the Viking Life-Saving Equipment booth at FDIC International 2024. Have a good one and stay safe. Thanks, everybody.